last, I guess, fall it was when everything was going down with Bryce Underwood.
Yep.
Social media went crazy because the word gets out that you're on staff at Bryce Underwood's high school, and then he flips, and then conveniently there's a picture of y'all together at a Michigan tailgate. Like, just walk us through from start to finish that story of you getting on staff at Bryce Underwood's high school.
Yeah, so a couple coaches that I know pretty well that have significant Belleville ties. When our regular season ended at Mumford and we're going to the playoffs, and Belleville had just lost their last regular season game, it was like hey, we want you to go in, help out, help with the offense, and, get these boys right. So I get there. My first time meeting Bryce was the Sunday after the Michigan State game. And, right away, the first thing I told him was, look, because, obviously it's kind of funny. We're both kind of starstruck because he's like, I just watched your documentary. And I'm like, oh, you're Bryce Underwood. And, so I told him, I said, look, obviously, where I would want you to play. I'm not here to talk about that. Like this, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that I love Michigan and would love to see it at Michigan. I'm here to just help you win, help you grow from a football standpoint and so on. And that first day, we were there for like 12 hours. Talking ball.
Wow.
The guy's obsessed with football. We got along very, very well. We still have a good relationship just because of football.
Yeah.
Like he would call me every night watching film, like asking me what I think the boundary safety is trying to do on this play and that play. And he'd answer his own question 99% of the time. And just kind of a sounding board for him. But his work ethic and his knowledge of football is what obviously you can't just tell by looking at him. You can watch him throw the ball. You can look at him. Oh yeah, he's got the physical tools. He's got everything there on film. What sets him apart, and this is why I think he's so confident when he goes on the Rich Eisen show or whatever, and he doesn't shy away, right? Like anyone in his position or in his camp, like a family member or a friend or a coach or whoever, might kind of hesitate to be like, oh, I don't want to talk about him because the expectation or whatever. Well, clearly, the expectation that doesn't faze him, right? He's talking about what he expects out of himself, and the reason why he's so confident in himself has to be because of his work ethic and the grind. Like, I'm 100% confident, and I can say this knowing, I was at Schembechler Hall for multiple years, and there's like maybe 2 or 3 other people who are in there as early and as late, as you're in there. Like Coach Moore being one of them, Nick Roselio, shout out to him. He's offensive line GA. He's a grinder. He's all the time. Bryce is like that as a player, where just from talking to him now and from things that I hear, like he's there till 10 p.m. every day now in spring.
Dang, yeah.
Right. And it takes, everyone has a life, right? And I am in agreement with, athletes, what do they expect us to, what do fans expect us to be here 24/7 and not have a life outside of football? Right. I get that. And I'm down for that. I agree with that. I just personally, I'm not like that, right?
Yeah.
And Bryce is the same way. We're like, yes, he has a life outside of football, and he's got everything going on.
He sleeps.
He does sleep.
Some, maybe.
Yeah. He traveled to L.A., went to the Clippers-Lakers game. I saw that. But no, he's the type of guy who there is no end to football, right? It's not like practice ends. I'm gonna watch an hour of film and go home. Like, no, I'm gonna stay here till I get tired and can't keep going, or whatever it is, and he's that type of guy where, if he is calling me at 10 p.m. on a daily basis to talk about Ann Arbor Pioneer, I'm pretty confident he'll do the same thing to talk Ohio State or whatever it is. So I can only imagine he's even going to elevate it even more. I would, when I was with him at Belleville, my opinion of him, and forget about the football, was, man, this guy's got like the work ethic of an NFL player like right now. there's not going to be an adjustment. And when he had some questions about Michigan, we really didn't talk about Michigan too much. I mean, because again, he knows what we're going to talk about. We did use Michigan's pre-snap nomenclature for the playoffs, formations.
Last little adjustment into the college game, yeah.
But Bryce actually had 5 OCs in 4 years. And that's one thing I told him, just the nature of college football. I'll say this, like the nature when you're at a place like Michigan or whether he went to LSU or Bama or anywhere, if you're at a big-time program, odds are you're not going to have your offensive coordinator for more than 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's honestly actually kind of mind-boggling to me. And I don't mean this in any ill will to anyone.
Of course.
And I'm including Michigan when I say this. I told Bryce, the one thing I did tell Bryce was like, I would not commit somewhere because of a specific staff member or, whatever it is, where odds are that person or that situation is not even going to be there 2 years from now. So it's mind-boggling to me when someone commits so early. The other thing I told him is that I would wait, keep your leverage, right? The second you make something official, you lose your leverage, or at least some of it. And again, we talked football 99% of the time. We didn't talk recruiting. So everyone, what'd you say? What'd you tell Bryce? We really didn't talk much, but about that. But yeah, it's mind-boggling to me when kids commit so early for a school because of a coordinator, especially if it's a big-time program. Like, let's be honest. Chip Lindsey, for example, I mean, you could say this for him. You could say this for Chip Kelly, anyone. Yeah. I mean, you saw it with Chip Kelly now.
Yeah.
You are either getting fired in 2 years or promoted to a head coach or the NFL in 2 years. There's no in between. A place like Michigan or Ohio State or Bama or Texas, the expectations are so high that it's very difficult to not underperform. Like, you're either getting that next job or you didn't meet the expectations. We're moving on.
Yes.
So, that's just one little recruiting ism to me. You just kind of haven't seen the process over and over again of like, this kid committed there because of that and this kid committed there because of that. For me, I can go. I mean, we are at on 3, so we'll talk recruiting.
Let's do it.
If and this is what I would tell a kid who's going through the process is the first 40 years from now, you're not gonna remember. I mean, you'll remember your position coach, but like, he'll be dead. I mean, 40 years from now, he will be, right?
Yeah, it's possible.
You're going to be closest with your teammates.
Sure.
Right? So I would think the first thing to decide, and this is difficult when multiple people are it's complex. People are trying to commit at the same time or different times, but like over a 1 year period.
Seats open, sure.
Yep. So it's hard to predict who your teammates in your class are going to be. So, but I do think that's important. And then the only next sure thing would be the current freshmen on that team, because those are going to be your upperclassmen teammates that are like your older brothers that you're going to have a bond with for life. So to me, that's like the first thing, those relationships with the players, not the coaches. And then the second thing is the school itself, right? Do you 40 years from now want to say when your son, hey, Dad, where'd you play football? Oh, son, well, I played at this school, and then I transferred to that school, and then I went to this school, and then I went to that school. Whoa, so what school do we root for? I don't know. Whichever one's good right now. Like,
it's a lot of hoodies. It's a lot of hoodies tomorrow on Saturday, man. Lot.
And I'm not knocking the portal.
Sure.
But it's just like, if you want to make a decision, when people say I'm making a 40-year decision, well, think 40 years from now, what are you going to care about?
Yeah.
You're not going to care about who your position coach was and who your, whatever, I made an extra $100,000. Like, okay, I understand why that is part of the decision-making process, but that shouldn't be the number one thing, right? So after the teammates in the school, I would then say, yes, then NIL and who's on staff now, because no doubt you don't want to commit somewhere where the coach that's going to be coaching you is not great at developing that position. Because yes, at the end of the day, you're trying to play in the NFL and all that.
100%.
But I just think that it's so difficult, especially early. Like if you're a sophomore or junior in high school, don't rush your commitment, because who knows if they're even going to be there when you are a freshman, let alone a sophomore or junior. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on prioritizing what to care about in your recruitment as a high schooler.
I mean, did Bryce give you a heads up like,
no,
hey, this is about to? No, okay.
Nope.
So what was the conversation?
Elijah
like
Dotson did.
when he? Okay. So
for Elijah.
Okay, gotcha.
Because Elijah told me he was gonna flip to Michigan.
When Bryce did tell you he was going to Michigan, or when you found
Bryce
out the news?
committed after Elijah.
So when you find out, are you like hitting him a text, him a quick call, or like what was that first interaction?
I'm sure his phone was completely blown up. But that weekend, so he committed. I don't even remember what day it was, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere there. He commits to Michigan, and it's funny. I'm still upset about our loss in the playoffs to Catholic Central, a great program. And they're Catholic Central, very elite with weight room and their defense and the front seven. And Belleville, unfortunately, was just behind in that. So it's like, well, it's going to be tough to run the ball. So it of course, as the OC or whatever, I'm still like, man, I should have done this, should have done that. And
replaying it in your head.
I'm sure he feels the same way. But it's funny from Michigan's perspective. It could have been a blessing in disguise, because he could not have gone to the Northwestern game that week, that next weekend, had we won, because we would have played at the same time. Now, I don't think he would have committed or not based on if he could have gone to a Michigan Northwestern game. But I thought it was cool for him to be able to commit and then 2-3 days later go to that game. So yeah, I think I hit his dad up, because I'm sure his phone was getting blown. His dad was a coach on the team at Belleville.
Got it. Okay.
His dad was a running backs coach, so I was pretty close with his dad. So I hit him up like, hey man, if you guys are gonna be around, have any free time, let me know. And so we were at this big tailgate, and a couple of the other coaches on the staff were at Belleville were at the tailgate. And so yeah, I guess they took a 10-minute, 15-minute detour, said, hey, we got somewhere to be, and they swung by and said hi. And
snap a quick pic, break the internet really quick, and then just see yourself trending.
Yeah.
How many texts did you get after that? Because I think the perception for people that saw that, they were like, all right, if I'm a Michigan fan and I am believing that Connor Stalions brought us home a natty, now he brings us the #1 recruit in America, it's like, dog, give this guy the key to the city right now. Was your text just going crazy when that all happens?
Yeah. I mean, the picture alone, it's just a funny, well-timed picture of Bryce and me at the tailgate. People are always going to think what they want. It's the same thing with the conspiracies originally with me and the sign stealing stuff. People just want, a good friend of mine is people want a sexy story, but the unfortunate truth is sometimes the truth is not sexy.
Sure,
it's just, it is what it is, right?
Sure.
Bryce Underwood is not committing to Michigan because his fifth offensive coordinator behind the scenes was convincing him to commit to Michigan. In fact, I actually had a great relationship with the coach at LSU, Joe Sloan, recruiting him. And in my opinion, I had a 3-hour conversation with Joe, and I was like, oh, well, I don't think Bryce is going to flip to Michigan. Coach Sloan's pretty awesome. Again, he did not, and I'll say this, Coach Sloan was an elite recruiter, elite coach. He was texting me, after one of our playoff games, watching the film, he liked this. He kind of helped me out too. And that just goes to show, I don't think Bryce was committing or not committing because of one relationship, right? Yes, that one relationship is strong, and his relationship with me was and is strong, just from a coach perspective at Belleville.
Yeah.
But and I told him, I'm not going to get into detail exactly what he asked and what we talked about, but there's a little bit in me that kind of negative recruited Michigan just from being honest with him and his questions he had, that I'm sure he appreciated the honesty. But, I think outside of the NIL and the new OC hire and just being close to home and everything that I'm sure went into him actually making his decision, he just fits Michigan, going back to like who he is. Coach Moore is one of those few coaches that was there from like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day without fail. And I'm sure Bryce's relationship with Coach Moore, if anything, and that's the one thing I will say, committing for a head coach makes more sense because there's less turnover than there is for position coordinators. And I just know, I haven't talked to Coach Moore since, but I know that once Bryce and Sharon start talking, and I think Bryce told me, he asked like, what time can I be here till? And Coach Moore like, well, as late as you want. You're fingerprinted here. What do you mean? And he's like, well, no, like what time do I have to leave? She's like, no, like whenever you get to stay.
Want. Yeah.
And I know that's every college football program probably operates that way, but when the head coach is there, like just a grinder, and it's not. And the cool thing, Coach Harbaugh is the same way. Sharon's the same way. It's not like this intimidating. The whole staff stays because the head coach is there, and they feel uneasy because I can't leave before the head
coach
leaves.
Their desk. Right? Yeah.
It's not like that because they're like Sharon's just a genuine good dude. Whenever you finish your work, you can leave. You leave, right? And he's just got the same type of mentality that I just go in with, and what Bryce goes in with. That I'm just gonna keep working until I can't.
Till they kick you
tired,
out. Yeah,
right?
Till the key card doesn't work anymore.
Correct.
I love that, man. I love that.
He fits Michigan well. His work, obviously, he's got the talent, but his work ethic and his knowledge of the game and he's just never satisfied, right? It's from that standpoint very similar to JJ. And JJ will be great in Minnesota. I think Bryce is starting off at a somehow more experienced, level from a work ethic and a knowledge of the game perspective that people don't realize when you just watch the film. He's got that. Like he people, is he going to start? Is he going to this? Is he going to that? I mean, I don't care who's in the quarterback room. After spending 3 weeks with him, like I'm putting all my chips on the table with him. I don't care, I don't care who it's against. I mean, he's that different. So people can predict whatever they want, expectations. I don't do predictions, but he is a professional in every sense of the word.